shift our focus to an active war zone. Russia has launched a wave of attacks across Ukraine. Attacks were reported in southern port city of Odessa, in the Ukrainian city of Marhanets, and in Kyiv as well. The strikes came as both Russia's President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky signaled willingness to negotiate a pact that would ban striking civilians. And so, if bilateral talks occur, it would be the first time the two sides had held direct talks since the early days of the war in 2022. So what happens to the prospect of the talks? Just take a look at the battlefield first. It was another night of horror in Odessa as Russian drones rained down, injuring two and damaging civilian infrastructure. Video footage from the State Emergency Service of Ukraine showed emergency personnel driving to the scene of a blast in Odessa, where firefighters worked to put out fires at a damaged building. But that's not all. Russia launched a drone attack on Ukraine's east, in south and central Ukraine overnight. In Ukraine's second largest city of Kyiv, Ukraine's emergency services were seen tackling massive fires. Russian drones targeting civilian infrastructure had resulted in multiple fires. In Kyiv region, air defense units were also engaged in repelling the attacks, but there were no reports of potential damage. In the Ukrainian city of Marhanets, Russian drone attack killed 9 as Russian drone hit a bus carrying workers early on Wednesday. Pictures released by Ukraine's State Emergency Service showed rescuers removing bodies from damaged bus. On the same day, Russia's defense ministry claimed to have gained control over the village of Trasivka in Ukraine's Donetsk region. As you can see, the Russian attacks kept the eastern half of Ukraine awake for several hours overnight. Still, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that his armed forces still lack certain weapons for the war. According to Putin, Russian troops have received more than 4,000 armored vehicles, 180 warplanes and helicopters, and over 1.5 million drones of various types. But he said that there were other gaps in the areas.
These weapons are still lacking. I know about the efforts being made by the Ministry of Defense and the Minister by industrial enterprises. There are plans, work is being done every day, in fact, and I am sure that all plans to increase production of the necessary equipment, in this case these drones, will certainly be fulfilled.
As Russian attacks kept Ukraine awake, Kremlin said that there are many nuances around Ukraine talks and that positions have yet to be narrowed. Meanwhile, peace talks on Ukraine that were scheduled to take place in the UK were downgraded on Wednesday. UK Secretary of State for Foreign Affairs David Lammy had been expecting to host a fresh round of Ukraine peace talks in London. It would have brought together the US, Ukraine and Europe, but the British minister was left embarrassed after US Secretary of State Marco Rubio suddenly decided to skip the meeting. Nevertheless, Ukraine brought along a senior delegation led by Andriy Yermak, who is Zelensky's chief of staff. He was joined by the Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiha and Defense Minister Rustem Umerov. According to the British daily The Guardian, the last-minute downgrade came after reports from Russia and the US that suggest that two countries had made progress in separate bilateral peace talks between the White House and the Kremlin. It's unclear how serious Russia is about these talks, especially given the spike in attacks on Ukrainian civilians. At the moment, the situation remains dynamic, and the coming days will reveal more. For more on this, our assistant editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibal, is now joining us on the phone line. Siddhant, just a few moments ago, India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri laid out some diplomatic steps that India has taken in the wake of the Pahalgam terror attack. Tell us more.
Well, important development tonight. India has announced that the Indus Water Treaty will be kept at abeyance. The fact that India has also announced that Wagah-Tori border will be closed with immediate effect. Also, the military diplomats, the air attaché, the navy attaché will be expelled as well. It's an important development that has happened. and essentially that is downgrading of the diplomatic mission. In fact, India has said that the strength of the diplomats in the two sides, whether it's India or Pakistan, will be now kept at 30. So that is the big development that is coming.
Right, while the Indian Foreign Secretary did assert on the diplomatic steps, there's still not been any information on the military steps or any kinetic option on the table.
Well, correct. There is no kinetic action so far, essentially. But the Indian Foreign Secretary said that we will be keeping the forces on high alert. That is the big development that has been talked about. But any kinetic action will take time. We know that after the Pulwama terror attack, India had taken some time before, of course, announcing the fact that these strikes will happen, the surgical strikes can happen. So essentially we have to wait till the formal announcement or development happens.
Right, so I'm just asserting for our viewers watching the show, that was India's Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri who laid out the diplomatic steps that India has taken in the wake of the Pahalgam terror attack in which 27 innocent lives were killed. The Atari border will be closed and Indus Water Treaty will be held in abeyance. Apart from that, Pakistan nationals will not be allowed to travel to India. Well, this is Himanshi. She is the widow of late Navy Lieutenant Vinay Narwal. Narwal was more than just a soldier. He was a loving husband and recently married to Himanshi. The couple was on vacation in Kashmir when Lieutenant Narwal's life was tragically cut short by the terrorist. Lieutenant Narwal was among the 26 unarmed civilians and tourists whose lives were taken in the picturesque Kashmiri town of Pahalgam on April 22nd. Make no mistake that this was the worst attack on civilians in India since the 26/11 Mumbai shootings. It has shattered the calm in Kashmir, where tourism has flourished in recent years that we have been seeing. 27 lives have been lost. Yes, terrorism has no religion. But for these barbarians, it mattered. It mattered because they have made it out to be so. Eyewitnesses say that the terrorists ambushed the unarmed tourists, checked IDs, asked them their religion, and executed those identified as non-Muslims point blank. They separated the Hindu men, forced them to recite the azan, then fired the shots. This was no act of random violence. It was an act of hate. It was deliberate and planned. It is clear and straightforward. Terrorism has no religion, only bad faith. Take the case of Saeed Hussain Shah. He was a local pony ride operator who bravely tried to confront one of the terrorists, even tried to wrest the rifle from one of them. Tragically, he paid the ultimate price as he was shot dead by the terrorists.
एक ही सहारा था, यही कमाने वाला था। बच्चा कमाए वाला से कुछ तो बड़ा ही आसे हाय अल्लाह के कर सोन के कर सो खुदाया।
India is enraged. How dare they? How dare they spread hatred in the name of religion? A new red line has been crossed and India has vowed to respond loudly and clearly.
मैं भारत के दृढ़ संकल्प को दोहराना चाहूंगा कि टेररिज्म के खिलाफ हमारी जीरो टॉलरेंस की पॉलिसी है। भारत का एक एक नागरिक इस कायरतापूर्ण हरकत के खिलाफ एकजुट है और हम सिर्फ उन लोगों तक नहीं पहुंचेंगे जिन्होंने इस घटना को अंजाम दिया है, हम उन तक भी पहुंचेंगे जिन्होंने पर्दे के पीछे बैठकर हिंदुस्तान की सरजमी पर ऐसी नापाक हरकतों की साजिशें रची हैं।
Earlier, India's Home Minister Amit Shah visited the hospital in Anantnag city where the victims are receiving treatment. Wasting no time, Indian forces are already on a hunt to find the perpetrators as investigators began probing the attack. Well, a team from India's National Investigation Agency or NIA arrived at the attack site to probe and assist the Jammu and Kashmir police. According to reports, tens of thousands of armed police and soldiers fanned out across the region and erected additional checkpoints. They searched cars and in some areas summoned former militants to police stations for questioning. In Jammu and Kashmir, shops were shut and people were out on streets to protest against the killings. But in fact, the whole country is reeling and enraged. They are angry from north to south, east to west. Indians were on the streets demonstrating against the Pahalgam massacre.
ये इंसानियत को जलील और रुसवा करने वाले हैं। ये इंसानियत को नीति के साथ रहते हैं, शांति के साथ रहते हैं, सुकून के साथ रहते हैं, एक दूसरे की हमदर्दी रखते हैं, एक दूसरे की मोहब्बत रंदे कीड़ों से भी गिरे हुए लोगों ने कैसा काम किया है। रब्बा इस मुल्क की हिफाजत फरमा।
In Jammu and Kashmir's Udhampur, girl students from Jamia Ruqaya Lil Banat Madrasa offered prayers for the victims. The spiritual head of the Ajmer Sharif Dargah, Said Zainullah Abdin Ali Khan, on Wednesday termed the Pahalgam attack as painful incident and said that there is no place for such acts in Islam. He said that no religion gives anyone the right to shoot someone after asking their religion.
This is a very painful incident and there is no place for such incident in Islam. Why are innocent people being killed? From the Islamic point of view, they are not worthy of being called Muslims. No religion qualifies you to fire bullets at someone by asking their religion. Why are you defaming Islam? They should feel ashamed.
Well, one thing's for sure, Hindus were singled out for death by these terrorists, but India will unitedly punish the killers of Pahalgam. And well, for more on this, we're now being joined by Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik. Anas, is there any reaction from Islamabad on the severe diplomatic measures which New Delhi has taken just a short while ago? We know in the morning, this morning, Pakistan did release a statement on the terror attack in Pahalgam, but it fell short of condemning the terror attack.
Well, Rahesha, what we know so far is that there are currently deliberations that are ongoing at the highest level, including that at the level of the Prime Minister. And in all likelihood, Pakistan is likely to do a reciprocal measure with regards to the PNGing or persona non grating of 3 Indian diplomats or 3 Indian, the Indian naval attaché, the military attaché and the defense attaché based in Islamabad. We're expecting a formal statement to be released soon. The exact contours of the statement or when it could be, it is still unknown, but we're expecting that to be done. We're also expecting a formal summon of the Indian charge day to be done as well, because given the history, this is something more of a reciprocal measure that Pakistan has been doing, and we would be expecting a statement either later tonight or if not, then at max by tomorrow morning, because tomorrow, remember, is the weekly briefing by the Pakistani Ministry of Foreign Affairs as well. Rahesha?
Marhanets, thanks for joining us on the show. We'll wait and have to see what kind of reaction comes from Pakistan. But the news that's come in at this point of time is that Pakistan will likely invoke reciprocal measures of the Indian naval, defense and military attaches in response to India's move. But thanks for joining us and giving us the latest.